October 3rd meeting of the Sacramento City Unified School District School Board to order. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Frankie Jones from the Met High School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Jones, just one moment. Frankie Jones is a senior at the Met Sacramento High School. She's the youngest out of 4 siblings and was raised by a single parent. Even though her family has overcome many hardships, they have always been guided with principles and values that instilled compassion, civic responsibility, and equality. Frankie is a longtime Sacramento resident with a deep interest in community development and social change. She has an extensive history actively working as a youth agent of change to positively strengthen her community through the use of multimedia. Ms. Jones actively volunteered as a youth intern at the Center for Multicultural Corporation, was a youth producer for California Voices, Native Voices, recipient of a Summer Matters Sacramento mini grant in 2012, and serves as a board chairman for the Grants Advisory Board for Youth. In addition, she served as a student intern for the UC Davis School of Education, Center for Community School Partnerships, and collaboratively worked on multiple social justice youth development projects. Last year, Ms. Jones started a multimedia campaign for safer and more inclusive school environments for LGBTQ youth. She is also an alumna of the National Outdoor Leadership School, where she has completed an intense 30-day, 145-mile backpacking trip through the Northern Cascades in the, can you help me with this, Pasayten Wilderness? Does that sound right?
Pasayten.
Pasayten, thank you. And was recently featured on Sacramento Bee for her adventurous backpacking experience. Moreover, she was one of the first participating students in Sacramento City Unified School District Summer of Service program. She volunteered at UC Davis School of Education and was the research assistant for a professor that used Ms. Jones' input and research in her published works she used towards obtaining her tenure as a full professor. Frankie is a highly driven student, and many undeniably appreciate her contributions to her community. She has been successful in times of adversity, continues to achieve academically, and is truly one of Sacramento's most invaluably diverse youth leaders. And we are very proud to recognize you as the Sacramento City Unified School District Stellar Student. Did you want to say a few words?
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who supports me, and I'm very honored tonight to accept this award. So thank you very much for your time.
This meeting of the Sacramento City School Board is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Today's meeting will air Sunday, October 6th at 9 a.m. and Monday, October 7th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14 and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker identification form located in the back of the community room and give it to our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Ross, here to my right, prior to the conclusion of the item's presentation. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board. State your name for the record. Responses to questions by the public will be posted on the district website prior to the next board meeting. Please limit comments during public comment to items not listed on the agenda. If you are found to be commenting on an item that is on the agenda, you'll be asked to defer until your item comes up on the agenda. Please turn off all cell phones or place them on silent or vibrate. Item 5.0, announcement of action taken in closed session.
None, Mr. President.
Mr. Barron. Item 6.0, agenda adoption. I will move the agenda. Second. We have a motion by Vice President to move the agenda. Second by Vice President Kennedy. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We do have an agenda. Item 7.0, special presentation. 7.1, SMUD High School Energy Audit Training Project. Energy efficiency recommendations for Isidore Cohen Elementary. It's a 10-minute presentation, and my understanding it will be by Dr. Teresa Cummings.
Good evening, President Cuneo, Superintendent Raymond, and board members. My name is Teresa Cummings. Farah could not be here today, so we apologize for that. But I would like to introduce to you Jacob Cadence, as well as the students from West Campus, John F. Kennedy School of Engineering and Science, and Luther Burbank, who participated in the SMUD High School Energy Audit. They'd like to present to you their recommendations. Mrs. Ferguson, can you bring up the... Thank you very much.
President Cuneo, members of the board, Superintendent Raymond, my name is Jacob Cadence. I am the SMUD project manager for the High School Energy Efficiency and Auditing Training Project. This is a project that takes high school students, trains them in electrical efficiency and auditing, puts them back into a school in their district to perform an actual audit, and then provides some funding to help implement the student recommendations. This is a project that SMUD funds because we want to help generate the next leaders for the energy industry, but also to help our school district partners reduce their electricity bills, reduce associated greenhouse gas emissions, and ultimately help maintain the low rates that we provide to our ratepayers here in Sacramento. The project consisted of 7 school districts this year. We had 38 students total, 9 of which were from Sacramento City Unified School District. You had the largest number of students actually of all the different school districts, so congratulate you on that. The students came together in one classroom to learn about energy efficiency and then went out, broke up into various groups from their districts and audited a school within their district. And you're going to hear from these students about their audit of Isidore Cohen School. But I do also want to take a moment to recognize the SCOSD Facilities Department for their support of this program, helping us land the training location at Luther Burbank and sending out their expertise when we're doing the audit at Isidore Cohen. So with that said, I want to introduce you to the Sacramento City Unified School District SMUD auditing team. Jesse, you want to come on up?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse Christian. I'm part of the SMUD Energy Audit Team for SCOSD, or Sacramento City Unified School District. Today I'm here to talk to you guys today about what we did over the summer. Basically, we just, like Jacob said, we had a 1-week-long intensive training with 38 different students from 7 different school districts. And we learned from professional auditors on how to audit schools and using tools to figure out or help them figure out how they could save energy and money with their through the facility. And this training took place at Luther Burbank High School, and then our professional or our actual audit report took place at Isidore Cohen Elementary School. And through this, we earned a stipend from SMUD to help us put these plans into practice or action. And then basically, we're just trying to help facilities and schools and figure out how they can save energy and money and reduce carbon footprint emissions in the environment, and just find a way to find a solution to a better society. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Tristan Walker, who will talk to you about the tools that we use to audit the schools.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tristan Gurule, and while we're at Isidore Cohen, did extensive audit of it using professional-grade tools such as a kilowatt meter, which tells us right here the amount of electricity each appliance is using, and we did this around 5 rooms at Isidore Cohen. We also used the thermometer to tell us how the temperature in the room, and we compared our thermometer to the ones in the classroom to see how the thermometer was working, if it was working correctly or not. We also used a flicker checker to determine what type of lights were being used at Isidore Cohen. This determines the flickering of the T12 lightings, the difference between T12 and T8s, the ones that we do recommend. T12s flicker and T8s don't. T12s, when they flicker, they use lots of energy and they waste lots of energy, so that's why we recommend T8. We also used a light meter to determine the different light levels in different areas to show how much we really need, so if we need to delamp or not, and how much we need or not. And those were the tools that we used when we did the audit of Isidore Cohen.
Well, hi, my name's Jessica, and I will be telling you about our light findings of Isidore Cohen today. See, the great thing about Isidore Cohen is that they've recently had a complete lighting upgrade, and a lot of the inefficient T12s, this bigger one here, has been changed to these efficient T8s. As you can see, there's really a big difference. These are the ones that flicker. This one doesn't. Thank you. And although they've had a complete lighting upgrade, we did find a few inefficient lights in the kitchen area, in a few of the exit signs, and in the janitor rooms. We've also noticed that there's actually more light than recommended in the bathrooms. Now, a few of our recommendations are to replace the incandescent bulbs found in the janitor rooms and in the kitchen area to CFLs. We estimated this will save you about $22 a year. We also recommend to replace the 11 incandescent exit signs that have 2 inefficient light bulbs each with LEDs. And we estimated this will save you about $520 a year. Also, add motion sensors. See, the great thing about motion sensors is the lights will turn off and turn on their own. When someone walks in, the light will turn on. Someone walks out. If there's no movement in the room for, say, 15 to 10 minutes, then the light turns off. And this saves you a lot of money, about $350 a year. And another thing is delamping. See, the great thing about delamping is it's completely free. All you gotta do is go up to one of these fixtures here and take out a lamp, like one of those. And we estimated this will save you about $250 a year. And you'll start saving immediately because it's free. Another thing is skylighting. We really recommend to add skylighting in the portable classrooms. And the great thing about skylighting is that research shows that kids actually learn a lot better with it, and it'll improve test scores, and that's certainly great for our district. And all of the natural light is completely free. So we'll move on to the next slide. My partner, Esther.
Hello, my name is Esther Romero. I'm here to talk to you about me and my group's findings of Isidore Cohen's HVAC system. Well, in 2011, there was a mechanical upgrade, and a part of that upgrade was the heating and cooling system. Also, another discovery of Isidore Cohen is that we discovered the rooftop of Isidore Cohen is painted white. And the reason it's painted white is because less heat will be brought in by the sunlight compared to a normal black rooftop. So less heat is being used and less AC and heating is being used. But on the other hand, the portables of Isidore Cohen use more heating and cooling because it isn't on an energy management system. And what an energy management system is when the district controls the heating and cooling when it isn't or shouldn't be in use. Also, another discovery on the portables is that the portables, in one of the classrooms, we found a mercury thermostat. And the problem with mercury thermostats is they aren't able to get shut off automatically, so only manually. So me and my group put together a few recommendations for you. First, change the mercury thermostat to an updated thermostat, and also to have the portables get put onto an energy management system. Instructions on how to shut off updated thermostats, such as put a note near them, because not very many teachers know how to shut off thermostats. And Our general recommendations are to have the windows of Isidore Cohen get new windows replaced from single pane windows to double or triple pane windows to prevent air infiltration. And final, to plant trees around back to reduce the amount of heat being brought in by sunlight so it could stay cooler without using AC. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Richard Wong. I'm currently a senior at West Campus High School. At Isidore Cohen, we conducted an audit of the electrical appliances throughout the school. We found that there were around 100 old, inefficient electrical appliances. Now, these electrical appliances include TVs, fridges, radios, and projectors. We also found out that many of these appliances were left plugged in over the summer. Now, when these appliances were plugged in, they draw something called a phantom load. A phantom load is when an appliance is plugged in, but it's not on, but it still draws energy. Now, this costs the district a lot of money. To solve these issues, we recommend that we unplug unused appliances when they're not in use over the summer and throughout the school year. We also recommend upgrading to newer energy-efficient models, which will save the district a lot of money. With these recommendations, we estimate an annual savings of around $4,122. Now, this is pretty significant. SMUD also does offer rebates and incentives.
No, keep going.
Incentives for plug occupancy sensors, which will shut down appliances that are not in use and completely take away the energy. And SMUD does also offer incentives for power management software for computers. And computers do take a lot of energy. More information for these individual incentives can be available from SMUD. And for more information on computers, I'll pass it to...
Hello, my name is Jessica Vang, and I will be talking about the water heaters. During the audit from Isidore Cohen, we found there was 5 inefficient water heaters, gas and electric. So one of our recommendations is to replace a 60 water gallon heater in the kitchen with an Energy Star, and also replacing a 30-gallon water heater with an efficient model. So the total cost of replacing the water heaters will cost you about $1,500. But when you think about it, you save up to like $350 a year. And another recommendation is to insulate water heater pipes, because as an example, the picture in the slide, the pipes are not insulated. So if you insulate it, you'll use less energy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ethan Saveland, and I'm here to talk to you about the computers at Isidore Cohen. So why are we talking about CPUs? The reason why we're talking about the computers at Isidore Cohen is because there are 214 computers at Isidore Cohen. And of those 214 computers, during the school year, most of them are left plugged in, and they are drawing phantom load. And what a phantom load is when an appliance is plugged in, and it's not in use, or it's turned off, it's still drawing energy, and that it can cost you, and that is costing you money while no one is using it. So for our recommendations, we recommend that computers should be unplugged when not in use, and just by doing this simple task, you could save yourself $60 a year just by unplugging the computers at Isidore Cohen. Next is to upgrade computer monitors. We also recommend that you upgrade the CRT computer monitors to more efficient flat screen computer monitors, and this will save you even more money by upgrading them to newer models. Also, SMUD offers a free software that will automatically shut down your computers when they're not in use, and this can save you more money as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emma Cow, and I'm here to talk to you about the total savings that we found at Isidore Cohen. After our audit, we calculated the total amount of money and carbon emissions that our district would save if all of the recommendations were to be used. During our training, we've learned about the link between global climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, and we are proud to attend a district that offers a great green energy program to reduce energy usage and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. With that said, we offer you these measures to continue to reduce energy usage and these greenhouse gases. In fact, if all of our recommendations were to be implemented, our district may save up to $6,180 a year and reduce up to 36,000 pounds of CO2 a year. That is quite significant. I mean, in fact, with the amount of money saved, we hope that the district continues to invest in student education and activities such as fine arts, and that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and without further ado, do you guys have any questions for us?
Thank you. I'm sure we do. We have a student board member, Kovalchuk.
Thank you. Check. 1, 2. Okay. I'd like to congratulate all of you for being part of this team. It seems like you guys did a lot of work, and it was during the summer, right? I commend you for that, and great job. I wanted to ask, I'm not sure if it's this, the students would know this, but why was Isidore Cohen selected? Was there a special criteria that was used, or?
We worked with the facility support staff to choose an appropriate school that was going to be able to implement a project. One of the challenges we had with this project was a short time frame for implementation, and the facility support staff was fantastic in identifying a project and giving us access to these great students.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Vice President Wu.
Thank you, President Cuneo. I just have a couple questions, and they're more in line of the technology that you're recommending. The CFL light bulbs, for example, do the T8s fit into the same fixtures as the T12s, or do you have to replace the entire system?
They do fit. Yeah, they fit. Do you want to take a look? I don't know.
No, I just say if I'm going to convert,
they fit.
I want to know what my capital outlay is going to be. Thank you. Another question on the water heaters. Ms. Fang? Thank you. So when recommending these more efficient water heaters, did you have an opportunity to study the recommended water heater against a tankless water heater, for example?
When we were auditing Luther Burbank, we actually did go to where the tanks were, and we did kind of studied it, but other than that, I don't think we had any other information about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Thank you. And I have one other last question about the computers. You mentioned that SMUD had a program that would shut off the computers?
Yes.
Would that program be sufficient to replace the recommendation to physically unplug the computers when not in use?
Yes, I think so.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Member Pritchett.
Thank you, President Cuneo. My mic's on.
Yeah.
First off, I just had a quick question about where are you guys from? I've heard one of you guys tell me what school you're from, but are you all from West Campus?
I'm Emma Cow, and I'm a senior at West Campus.
Okay.
I'm also a senior at West Campus.
I'm Ethan Saveland, and I'm a senior at SES.
Okay.
I'm Esther Romero, and I'm a senior at John F. Kennedy.
I'm Tristan Gooderley, and I'm a senior at School of Engineering and Sciences.
Hello, my name is Jesse Christian. I'm currently a senior at School of Engineering and Sciences also.
Hi, my name is Jessica Wang, and I'm a senior from Luther Burbank High School.
Hi, my name's also Jessica Vang, and I'm a student at Luther Burbank High School. I'm currently a junior.
Great. It's really nice to see all the students from different schools coming together and doing such great work. I wanted to commend you on your presentation skills, your leadership. You're very proud of you. Your presentation was phenomenal. And I also wanted to just personally thank you for choosing Isidore Cohen, because that's one of my schools. That's all. I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to know who you were and let you know that you did such a great job. I hope to see more of you guys in more presentations.
Okay, Board Member Rodriguez.
Okay, I always have to ask the tough questions, so I got 2 questions. One, and maybe a couple of you can answer. You don't all have to answer this. But the first question is, what mathematical equations do you remember using during this project? And then the other one is, did any of you do this exercise on your own house, and what was the outcome?
Well, I would like to comment about the equations. I remember them. I wrote them on a piece of paper, but they're really hard to recollect right now. But for my own house, I did use my tools to determine how much, like the kilowatt meter, how much plug loads were being, phantom loads were being used at my house. And it was quite a lot. We have this, sometimes let's call it vampire outlets. And there's this big cord we have that plugs into our TV and auto system, and I was measuring to see how much that was, and it was like 32 amps, and I was like, whoa, like that is like so much. So I was like, man, we need to think about how to cut back, how to, if we could change the what's it called, the extension cord thing being used, maybe we could save more energy and just being more cautious about also me turning off my computer when I get home and unplugging it when I'm not using it. Like when in the mornings I'm unplugging it, and when I get back I'm plugging it in, just to be more cautious about what I'm doing, how to save more energy, helping out my family to save money.
I do have something to add about the equations. So SMUD charges 12 cents for each kilowatt hour, and the average CO2 emissions for 1 kilowatt hour is 0.66 pounds. So we use the watt meters, which is this over here, to measure the amount of kilowatt hours, and we use that to estimate how much we would save.
Excellent, thank you. So your figures are pretty reliable. And so we're saving, what, $19,333 per year if we take all the recommendations? That's great, thank you. That concludes my questions. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you for the work and the presentation. Echo everyone's comments up here. I did wonder, how you don't have to all answer, but how did you find out about this program and get involved? And do you get credit for it, or is it voluntary? Or anybody can go ahead. You can take turns if you like.
Well, I'm from Luther Burbank High School, and how Luther Burbank did, I don't know how the other schools did it, but Luther Burbank had the counselors specifically pick out certain students that they thought would be good for this criteria or this program. Not to my knowledge, I don't think we get credit for it, but hey, it was really fun. I learned a lot, and I'm really glad that I was selected as one of the students.
Well, how I found out about this program was that last year I went to American Legion High School, and I recently did last year's Green School project. And so I kind of had a little history of that. And Farah, actually, she recommended or asked me if I would like to do this with SMUD. And I just said, oh, yeah. I was like, it was really fun, like auditing. And then plus at this, I learned more information about everything. So, thank you.
Let's jump in.
I found out about this program. Our school gave to our senior class information about it and a handout, and you could apply for it if you desired to do this for over the summer. And I applied for it, and I was able to get in. So I really enjoyed doing it over the summer, and it was really fun.
I learned about this program through my science teacher. I'm not really sure how he got the information. I think SMUD contacted him directly, and I thought I applied for this program because I thought it would be a great way to try something new. It's not every day that you learn how to audit a school. And it was something that I thought it'd be beneficial to me and my community. And I actually plan on doing this, auditing my own high school, which is West Campus, for my senior project.
Very cool. I think we have another board member wants to comment. Board Member Roy.
Thank you, President Cuneo. And more than asking a question, I just wanted to commend you, number one, as everyone else, for having taken the challenge and the effort of doing it. I think that many times we talk what it seems to be generic things when we say we want education for our students that means something, or we can hands-on, or we talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And I really am proud that these projects are going on, because this is the essence of when we talk creating opportunities for students to learn with, hands-on. And I hope that this has been that kind of education for you as well, and take it not only to your future life, and hopefully it has opened a door of interest on the sciences and technology. Some of you guys are already on that path, but hopefully something that you can share with some of your fellow students and demystify the essence of what math, science, technology, and engineering is all about. So thank you, and hope you can take that message along to your colleagues at your schools. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very impressive. Did you want to say something to close?
Just before we leave, actually, the students prepared a little flyer about their project, and with your permission, Mr. President, I'd like to deliver it to the board. Okay.
Yeah, please. One for everybody. Oh yeah, there's. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much. We have item 8.0, public comment. Mr. Ross.
We have 6 comments on 8.0. The first 4 are from Alice Mercer, Tim Gergen, Leo Bennett-Cochon, and Grace Trujillo, who I believe is giving her time to Mr. Bennett-Cochon.
Good evening. My name is Tim Gergen, and I am a member of the Genevieve Didion Save Our School Committee, as well as the School Site Council President. I'm here again requesting full restoration of Didion's SLIB funding. And as promised during my testimony at the previous board meeting 2 weeks ago, we have begun circulating a petition for submission to you all, hopefully at the October 17th meeting. It's basically the parents wanted to get involved and sign the petition letting you know that they're on board with restoration of our SLIB funds. Being as you were the ones who can appropriate the money for restoration of the funding, I thought it a good idea to inform you of how we have spent that money, how we made it through last year without any budgeted allocation, and why it's so vital for us. Last year, we exhausted our SLIB balance before it was seized. It was a use it or lose it situation. And those monies, along with the allocation from Superintendent Raymond, and thank you very much, sir, was spent on copy paper, toner, student planners, replacement bulbs for projectors, custodial supplies, nurse supplies, and most importantly, a reading intervention coach for our struggling readers. So as you can see, the SLIB monies are used for basic level support things. That's why it's so vital to have that restored. Again, as I mentioned last time, we have nothing else to fall back on. The $51 per pupil amount that we do get for our basic needs, we're probably going to exhaust that in the next 2 months. So I implore you once again, please restore our SLIB funding and help level the playing field for our children. Please take the step to restore the funding. Although it will not completely level the playing field, it's a positive step that you can take to move towards equality for the children at Didion. Now, our needs have unchanged since my testimony in 2012. However, the flexibility and funding allocation has changed. So I hope I have shown you why Didion needs its SLIB funding restored and why it's so vital for our children and why you should restore it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alice Mercer, and I'm a teacher at Bancroft Elementary. I'm here tonight to talk about some of the monies that the district has gotten and some choices that I feel are not being well made. Rather than going for a parcel tax over in the last election, this school board decided to go for a bond. And while those bonds are nice, they can't do as much as parcel tax money could have done. I have teachers over at my site asking me why class size has not been reduced with the passage of Prop 30. And there is great concern about services being cut. As we heard from the last gentleman, we're kind of over at the bone now. I'm concerned about priorities because the money that we are getting for bonds seems to be slated to go over and spend on lots of shiny new stuff in the form of iPads. I am a technology educator myself. I use it extensively in my classroom. But this is not how you do a tech rollout. You prepare your teachers for it. You have a plan beyond assessing and testing the students. I can't see any plan for that here. I'm also concerned because in spite of bond money that got me a very nice new paint job over on our blacktop, and we have a nice paint job over on our school, that we are not doing maintenance. My classroom is not getting vacuumed. And for 2 years in a row, even though we have had time, we've had an appointment with the carpet cleaners to come out. For 2 years, my carpets have not been cleaned. I had a student that threw up on the carpet last spring, and that has not, they went over and took care of it at the moment, but it has not been cleaned. I'm concerned that the public will stop giving you dollars if we do get to the point of doing a parcel tax, because they don't trust you when you go over and make choices like this that are not in the best interest of students. Thank you very much.
My name is Leo Bennett Koshan. Most public bodies allow their public 3 minutes. I will try to hold it to 3. I urge you someday to grant us 3 minutes instead of forcing us to try to get everything into 2.
You got 4.
I realize that, but I'm aiming for 3. But you just used 5. I wanted to thank Superintendent Raymond for giving us an updated transition school report so that we at least can continue this conversation on the same page. The prior report was the one that was originally submitted, and then there was the updated. I'm urging you to have all reports that have been submitted to the board put on the school transition page. It doesn't bring it up to date if people want to see lessons learned. For me, one lesson learned is in the updated report where it references the Sustainable Master Plan. It says, because people were using those numbers are optimal capacity numbers. It also states it's the most equitable to use capacity numbers for the right sizing discussion based on current maximum capacity. You've heard testimony, and I'd like to see it answered on the webpage, that Peter Burnett went over capacity. Peter Burnett had an enrollment of 541 students last year with a theoretical maximum capacity to counting every teachable space, every portable, everything that could be counted of 1,125. And the optimal, under the plan that you spent considerable money to be sustainable, as the previous speakers were talking about, 522 students to 672 students. It's not logical the way this decision was made. You don't use maximum capacity based on portables, and I'd like to see this question answered. I'm appalled that we don't have real final transitions. You've promised the public, at the urging of Member Hanson, to tell us about what's going on with your enrollment numbers. What are the true costs of all these renovations? What is transportation costing us? That's an additional cost. It's very possible that like almost every other district, that closing 7 schools has added to your fiscal deficit. Let's see the numbers. Post them. Be transparent. Fruit Ridge, Washington, C.P. Huntington, 3 schools closed. Number 4 on the original list, James Marshall, Susan B. Anthony, AM Wind, Father Keith Kennedy, Tahoe, not closed. Oak Ridge, number 9 on the original list. Bret Harte, not closed. Oak Ridge was closed, excuse me. Leatta Ford, not closed. Now we to number 12 on your original list. Joseph Bonheim, Maple, closed. C.B. Wire, number 14 on the original list, closed. Mark Hopkins, closed. Number 16, Twain, not closed. You rank these all by capacity, maximum capacity, not optimal. There's only one correlation when you re-rank them, and that's the percentage of white plurality students, with one exception. Susan B. Anthony, what do I learn? Don't mess with the Hmong community. What do you all need to learn? Lessons learned? Don't mess with our underprivileged, under-resourced communities. They are going to rise up. They are going to take this board down. It's a shame. It never had to be this way. But that's the way we're going because you didn't build consensus. Thank you. Since I have 8 minutes, people wonder seconds why I come here. And I just wanted to share a story that I've been in public education for 30 years. And my mother, who taught for 30 years out of 50, she's alive now, but she died in my arms this weekend because her heart started. And thank God they revived it. And that's what we need to do with our neighborhood schools. That's why I come. I've always had a passion for neighborhood schools. You guys make decisions based on best values, but neighborhood schools are the preeminent value for everything you want in this community. Please reconsider your norms. Thanks.
Our final 2 comments on 8.0 are from Arthur Aleman and Lisa Romero.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Raymond, Mr. President. I'm just here as a concerned parent tonight, just to reflect on what we did a few months ago, closing the 7 schools. It just, it really bothers me to be up here and to see what is happening right now, at, especially at the school at Peter Burnett. Just to see the kids there and to see the classroom so jam-packed and the promises that you guys have made before we close the schools. You guys made promises. You said there would be no more split classes. Didn't you say that? And yet, we had 3 classes that are split at Peter Burnett. I mean, you guys just sit up there and blink your eyes like it's another day in the park, you know, but to us parents that we got to go over there every day and see these crowded schools, it's bothersome. But yet, you know, you have a lot of funds, a lot of money to pay for attorneys, to change policies, you know, to change the core waiver, to get a year extension on a core waiver. You have money for that. But yet at Peter Burnett, they don't even have paper to send notices to engage parents is what's going on at the school. And it's a sad day. It is. It's sad. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Mr. Jonathan Raymond. My name is Lisa Romero. I'm officially a member of the PTA of Peter Burnett at this moment. I came here tonight to talk to you about the communication problems we've been having at some of the transition school sites. For one thing, we're not really recognizing the multiculturals and the multi-languages in our schools. We did bring up flyers to send home, different ideas. We were told there was not enough paper. I don't have time for that. I only do English and Spanish. These were some of the comments made to me and to some other members in a meeting that we had attended recently. The other thing is we're not getting notified of events like ELAC and things like this. We're getting late notices. Again, they're only probably in English and Spanish are the only two languages I've seen them in so far. Some people are not getting the eConnect. I've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of them are not getting it on their phones, and so they're not knowing, what is this? Oh, it was yesterday. Oh, my gosh. Well, you know. And some other things like the leadership academies, a lot of things that we can join and be involved in. A lot of parents don't even know about them or what's going on. And some other things were brought up with the after-school program, some issues with security. I'd like to see some increased security on campus. I came one time and the gates were opened up and it wasn't not even 4:30 yet. The back gate was open and the front, so anyone could walk in. Was mentioned to me there's not some supplies that they might need in emergencies, like EPI pens, which are used for allergic reactions of students. Defibrillators, there's a lot of things to go into. But another thing was that there are classrooms that are overcrowded. They can't see the chalkboard. They're not able to see what the teacher's writing up there. If I could just have a few seconds to finish up. The PTA meetings and things like this that are very important to us, we were recently told that, they can't be in the evenings while we're working on this. We'd like to see more parent involvement. We'd like to see a lot of the meetings be in the evening because a lot of people work. And for people that don't work or at home with their kids, some of them have to wait till their husband gets home or someone, and then they can come to these meetings. So I think it's very important to bring that up. And I'd like to invite the board members to come out to the transition sites and see for yourselves, come out, talk to the students and the teachers and the principal. I'd like to invite you to come out so that we can join together as a team and work on this. Thank you.
We have item 8.0, 9.0, the consent agenda. We do have,
consent agenda?
Before we move, I think we do have public comment.
We have comment on 9.1A from Ralph Merletti.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members. I'm Ralph Merletti from the Fruit Ridge area of South Sacramento. And here I have concern about one of these grants that has been listed in that I was able to see online and review some things related to that or that are in the same area. This is about one particular section of it by the California Endowment. It's $285,000, but there's no match from the district apparently. This is to provide or to increase, one section here says increase awareness of the needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and gender nonconforming youth. And the concern I have on this is that, well, first of all, I agree with LGBT needs, however we define that. In other words, the needs for protection from bullying, inclusiveness, a spirit and sense of well-being, and further job parity, opportunities, and job security. This is all fine, but I hope that all of this will not be an eventual cover or screen for permissiveness. That is promoting the personal lifestyle and especially in terms of encouraging same-gender marriage. Again, I support the LGBT need for protection, inclusiveness, spirit of well-being, and inclusiveness in the community, and equivalent job opportunities, career paths, but please, let's not promote the personal lifestyle and or encourage a redefinition of marriage. So again, inclusiveness, but not permissiveness. And best wishes for their well-being. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Is that all for public comment? Thank you. Okay, so we have 9.0, the consent agenda. I think we have a motion by Vice President Kennedy to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second? You already moved it, yeah. We have a second by Vice President Wu. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You're opposed to the consent agenda. We have one opposition in Member Rodriguez. Abstentions? And the consent agenda passed with one opposition. 10.0 Communications. 10.1 Employee Organization Reports. CSA. SCTA.
Members of the board. Oh, do I need to lean down a little? There we go. That would be really uncomfortable. Sorry. Members of the board, President Cuneo, and Superintendent Raymond. I'm Scott Smith, Vice President of the Sacramento City Teachers Association. I wanted to start out tonight by reading a passage from Dan Katzier's new book, The Redesign of the Urban School System. For those of you that do not remember Mr. Katzier, he has done some extensive work for the Broad Foundation, the same foundation that trained and promoted our superintendent. Mr. Katzier writes, Divided Board fails to ask questions about the cost of the reforms and fails to exercise its oversight responsibilities, leading to another major financial crisis and a threatened state takeover. While Mr. Katzier was talking about what happened in Oakland in 2003, he could be talking about our district if the board continues down its current path. This board will be voting tonight on agenda item 13.1 that has some pretty alarming numbers in it. We wanted to make sure that you saw the $1 million payment to your lawyers at Lozano and Smith, while you, the board, asked its employees who actually work with students to take furlough days, increase their medical costs, change retiree medical benefits, suffer through layoffs and job losses, and work in an unclean environment because you laid off the custodians. You asked the students and the parents to endure the poorly handled school closures, all so you could increase payments to Lozano and Smith by over 30% during the superintendent's tenure. This large increase is mostly due to the superintendent's inability to work collaboratively with what should be his partners. Perhaps you are unconcerned with spending $5 million in attorney fees in 3 years. But I think the parents would be, since you cut the custodians last year and the schools were filthy, so you could pay the lawyer bills. We also saw a payment of $57,000 to the firm of Burke Baker. While this sum isn't close to the king's ransom you are paying Lozano and Smith, Burke Baker was hired and will be paid $70,000 to evaluate the superintendent's priority schools. An evaluation we think is a foregone conclusion, since the Burke Baker Fund got their start by doing work for the Broad Foundation. This comes as no surprise to us. When the board needed to evaluate their only employee, who did they turn to? The board paid the same Mr. Katzier mentioned earlier to come in and develop the evaluation. I think that everyone would appreciate having their buddy come and do their evaluation. Before this board talks to anyone about evaluations, they should make sure that they are implementing one that looks fair on their own programs and employees. Thank you.
We have SEIU. Teamsters. UPE. Item 10.2, District Parent Advisory Committees. Community Advisory Committee. District Advisory Council. School Site Councils. District English Learner Advisory Committee. Gifted and Talented Education Advisory Committee. Indian Education Parent Committee. Sacramento Council of Parent-Teacher Association. Item 10.3, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Raymond.
Thanks, President Cuneo. I see a lot of our parents and teachers and others that are here tonight to present on our parent-teacher home visit program. So I'm going to yield my time this evening, and I'll put it in a letter out to the staff. Thanks.
Thank you. Item 10.4, my report, it will be somewhat brief.
My favorite report ever.
That went over well. So my report will be brief too. Seeing the, I'm going to follow. I'm a sucker for audience approval. I just wanted to just report. I did have a chance to make the rounds of my schools over the last few weeks. I usually like to wait till it settles down and so I can get a better understanding of the process of the school start and the glitches and the issues that came up. And I'm very happy to report at the schools that I've visited, there's been an overwhelming sense of positivity, that the school year started better than most, if not the most recent past. And that was very good to hear. And the one school that I paid particular attention to in my area because of the closure of Washington was Theodore Judah, and I was able to visit Theodore Judah, and I was happy with the way the school handled the transition of the new students, the activities that they planned, the events that they did for the parents and the incoming student body, the way that the principal handled the influx, and the way the teachers were able to make Judah, which is a wonderful school and its school culture, and very inviting and an open atmosphere, and a very, I would say, allowing atmosphere. They allow those kids to be who they are, and they teach them extremely well, and they learn a lot at that school. It's a wonderful environment for learning, and they have seamlessly brought those kids in who had attended Washington and have done an amazing job of building and continuing to build a cohesive community. I've also had an opportunity to visit a few of my parent-teacher associations, and I'm always continually amazed at the parent involvement in my area and my community, and the kind of level of care that they have for the school and their kids, and the level of commitment they have, and how when they walk into a PTA meeting, they seem to just leave politics at the door and try to put their best foot forward and really make sure that their kids are being well served, and that their school is doing everything it can, and they are doing everything they can to make sure that their kids get the best education. And so as we kind of transfer to this local control funding formula, and we start to look for and seek out more parental input, which is going to be mandated by law, I would hope that we start to look at the local PTAs and the local parents who are involved intimately with their schools, and who give their time and sweat equity and their money at the end of the day to make sure that their kids are educated in the way that they want, and that we make a concerted effort as a district to go find these people and bring them forth, because I think it is those voices sometimes that we miss at the district level. And I know everyone has a difficult juggling act in life with their children and their jobs, but it would make me much more pleased to see much more involvement from those people who are involved at the site level, and who do put in a lot of time at the site level, and can come forth and bring that perspective as we transition into a new funding regime, and a funding regime that's going to be a lot more elastic and open, but is going to necessitate more community input and more accountability to parents at the end of the day. And that is my staff report. And we have 10.5. We have our student member staff report, Margarita Kovalchuk.
Thank you, President Cuneo. I'd like to say that this past month has been quite eventful, and not only for me at my regular high school, but I can't imagine how it has been for students in transition schools. So I hope that it will get better, and as time goes on, everyone working together will reach the common goal. I also wanted to report back on our Youth Council meeting, which was held on the September 24th. It was the first meeting of the month, and we had student representatives come out from the high schools. Granted, we did not have every high school represented because it was the first month of school, and not all the permission slips paperwork was filled out to get everyone out there. We had quite a good number of students attend, and at our meeting, I reminded the students that they have the opportunity to nominate either their fellow peers or parents, volunteers, or teachers that they feel enhance their education and learning and make a big difference in their lives through the Stellar Award. So I would also like to recommend for any of you who feel that there's someone out there who enhances the education and puts in a lot of time and work into your child's life, go ahead and nominate for them for the Stellar Award, and let's have those people out there be recognized. Also, at our meeting, we had Board Member Pritchett come out and speak, and it was interesting to get a board member's perspective, an adult board member's perspective on how the board works, and it was explained to the students the difference of what they can come out and do, and basically how they can have their voice heard. Also at the meeting, we voted in our interim secretary, Natasha Tarleton, to become our full-time secretary for the school year. She's a student at one of the School of Health and Sciences, I believe, and we're excited to have our full Student Advisory Council board ready to tackle this school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10.6, information sharing by board members. We have Board Member Pritchett.
Thank you, President Cunio. So over the past few weeks, I've been quite busy. Rosemont High School hosted their annual homecoming parade last Friday. And this event, I think I've told you before, this event brings out all elements from the community. Every single one of the elementary schools in the area participated in the junior high school. Also, that was included was the local youth sports leagues, the Rosemont Community Association, the elected officials that represent that area, the fire department, and the SAC PD. We had a very large line that trotted down Kiefer Boulevard, and I say trotted because myself, Superintendent Raymond, and the principal of Rosemont High School, Lise Martinez, rode a horse down Kiefer Boulevard, so that was quite fun. I also had the pleasure of attending quite a few of my back-to-school nights, and I just wanted to say how impressed I was with the administration and the staff, with the engagement with the parents that were there. I also wanted to thank the parent groups that in my area, they worked out a deal with each other where one parent group would go work another parent group's back to school night at their membership table, or if they were working a food table, that way those parents can go visit their kids' classrooms. And it actually worked really well in our community, so I'm hoping to be able to share that with other parent groups all around our district, so that way nobody has to miss an opportunity to go visit their children's classroom. Last week, as our student board member mentioned, I did have the opportunity to meet with our Student Advisory Council at their group meeting, and I wanted to thank them for the opportunity to come and speak about community engagement and my experiences of being a school board member. I did find it quite amusing, as I don't know if you all know, but my daughter is a member of the Student Advisory Council, and when asked if anybody had any questions, she's the only one that had a question. And that question was, how has my life changed since becoming elected? I think she found that amusing. But I did want to let that group know that your work is much appreciated, and I hope to be invited back soon in the near future. And lastly, over the course of this week, I had the pleasure to attend the NALEO conference, which is the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials. And the main focus of the conference was based on STEM and early childhood development. And it was very I guess it's no surprise I'm not Latino, but it's very inspiring to me to be at a conference like that with members, school board members from all over the nation, sitting in one room discussing, especially when it comes to early childhood development and the differences between the different races. It's very, very inspiring, very eye-opening. The training also had, the last part of the training also had a session on Common Core. And again, being in that room with school board members from all over the nation, we were able to discuss different ways that everybody's implementing Common Core and what they're calling it and how are they working it. So it was that was very educational for me. And that training was put on by EdTrust. And they did give us a handout on Common Core that I've made copies for each of our board members to take a look at. And it has some great information in here. And it has like a timeline on professional development, the standards, our external partners. Are we, working with our stakeholders? Thank you. I'm tired, can you tell? And the communication. And so I have one, like I said, for each of our board members. And I also have some additional copies after the board meeting. If you'd like to see me, I'd be more than happy to give you a copy as well. I did want to address some of the public comment that was happening. There's not a day that goes by since school closures that I don't think about it. I just want you guys to know that. And I do want to go on the record to request from the district that we as a board address the split class issues. I want to hear more about it. I want to know which schools and how many classes are in each of these schools that do have split classes. And lastly, I did want to thank you, President Cunio, for recognizing the hard work of our parent-teacher groups and their dedication to our communities. That's all I have.
Thank you. Vice President Wu.
Thank you, President Cunio. First and foremost, I want to thank the superintendent and the staff for coming out to the west steps of the Capitol, where we rolled out the inaugural celebration of Anti-Bullying Prevention Month. So the Sac City Unified and the other school districts around had a fantastic presence at that. Last night, along with Vice President Kennedy and Dr. Roberts, we attended the fall meeting of the of SCOE, Sacramento County Office of Education, and included there was the guest featured speaker was also from EdTrust, and the topic for discussion was closing the achievement gap. And one of the most important things about closing the achievement gap is to be studying our data, and I hope that Dr. Roberts will be discussing data in her presentation later on this evening. Next, I wanted to let the board know that Member Hanson and I participated in a workshop put on by the California School Board Association on governance with respect to local control funding formula. And the thing that I wanted to point out is that as part of the local control funding formula, all the districts are responsible for preparing a local control and accountability plan, which we will have to roll out with the input from the public. We will have to create at least 2 community committees to address English language learners, as well as low-income students. So that local control and accountability plan must be approved alongside of our budget. And so we will be using that plan to determine the direction of next year's, the 2014-2015 budget. So I recommend that we start looking into, or asking the staff to look into the creation of these public committees so that we can get the input in a timely manner so that we can move forward to create our local control and accountability plan. Thank you, President Cunio.
Thank you, Vice President Wu. We have Member Rodriguez.
One last item. And so I brought back from the California School Board Association meeting, a copy of the packet that was presented. I'm going to turn it over to the staff and ask them to make copies for all of us and the staff as well. Thank you.
Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, President Cunha. I've been extremely busy myself. And so I'll start off with the first thing that I did. I was invited to participate in a panel at the state capitol sponsored by UC Berkeley School of Public Health and co-sponsored by the Alliance of Boys of Men of Color Health Work Group, Children's Defense Fund, and the Latino Coalition for a Healthy California. And the name of this panel was The Challenge of Youth Violence, State Policies and Local Actions. So my portion was to talk about the school-based interventions with statewide implications. And I'm really glad to see certain members of the audience here today because you'll see why. So part of this presentation was to do an overview in terms of what our school district has done in order to kind of reframe the our business here and what we're doing to help children deviate from violent behavior. So I said it begins with the board's vision. Then we tasked our superintendent to create a business plan. He did with 3 main pillars. We then together worked with the mega result. And then we adopted our board policy, which was the anti-bully policy. Went into talking about, now we have a restorative justice task force, which I understand our President Cunha is appointed there, or he serves on that. I don't know how he got there, but I guess he just serves on it. But then one of the programs that I said that was really effective and how it started into this school district was the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project. Started off with the Nel Soto funds, and it was just for the purpose of seeing if we could reduce the recidivism rates of school-aged children. And now they'll be presenting later on. So then I went in to talk about the many collaborations we have, and what we're doing currently is we're moving into social-emotional learning. So it was a really comprehensive presentation, and I hope that I represented the district with good insight and information for other districts to follow. Secondly, I did go to the same conference that Board Member Pritchett went to. Again, it was held by NALEO, the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials. You do not have to be Latino to join. Very small membership fee, and they provide excellent training on, and this one was in terms of STEM, where we got to see videos and examples of children learning mathematics at a very early age. It was a very interactive process. We had presenters from Brookings Institute, UCLA School of Medicine, and some other universities throughout the nation. What I found very interesting is that, we need to be putting forth more of a conversation on dual enrollment schools, and also the access to computers and the integration part. So serendipitously, I happened to be sitting on the airplane home yesterday from this training, and catty corner from me was a professor from UC Davis working on a presentation. So the board member that was sitting next to me from Arizona decides she wants to talk to this guy. He happened to tell her that he was working with Sac City Unified with a math program, an integrated math program. He's calling his program C-STEM. And he did mention Miss Levine Roberts, and he spoke very highly of you, Miss Roberts. Very proud. Thank you for representing our district. So he did want to communicate that he's looking for more teachers to enroll in this program. The deadline is tomorrow. They do need more teachers to enroll in our district because they already are working at SCS and Luther Burbank and Calmetto, correct? And I've got brochures here that he left with me, so I will pass them out. so you can learn more about this program. Of course, it was a long ride, so I got to see the integrated math program. And I can tell you, I got excited about math again. It was amazing. And I just encourage every board member here, call Dr. Chen, sit down, look at the presentation and the curriculum, and you will see that you too will be a believer in this. So lastly, I want to share with you that we had the opportunity to meet an individual at this in Washington, D.C. by the name of Stephen Quesada, and he's also a board member, but more importantly, he's an actor in the famous Breaking Bad series, and he runs a program in New Mexico for gang intervention, and it is an awesome program where you take kids that are high risk, you have them script out their own movie, you have them develop their own budget, film their own movie, act in their own movie, and then present it. And by the end of it all, they're once again re-engaged in school. Very successful program. I would like to bring him forward to Sacramento and also introduce him to other cities in California that are having an extraordinary gang problem at this time, in hopes that we can reduce some of that activity. So that's my report today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Move on to item 11.0, strategic plan and other initiatives. 11.1, parent-teacher home visit project, academic parent-teacher teams. Be an informational item to Mua and Lisa Lavasser. It'll be a 30-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute discussion.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jonathan. Good evening, President Cuneo and all board members. My name is Tu Mua, and I am happy here to present one of our valued partners, the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project, and Lisa Lavasser, who is Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project, has been one of our partners for 15 years, so it is our honor.
Thank you, Tu. Good evening, Superintendent Raymond, President Cuneo, and distinguished board members. Before I begin, I just want to say quickly thank you to Gail and Kua and Teresa and Tu and Stacy for helping me navigate this process so that we could be here tonight. I really appreciate your support. So I am thrilled today to be presenting on something that I think is truly transformational in our district. For those of you that don't know me, I know most of you, but for those of you that don't, my name is Lisa Lavasser, as Tu said, and I am the Sacramento Project Director for the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project / the APTT Coordinator. You can try saying that 5 times really quickly. It's really hard. So I'm thrilled tonight to be here to present about both topics. Is this my clicker? Okay. So tonight, in the 30 minutes that we have, we plan on discussing a few things. One is to give you a brief history about who we are, why we're here. I want to tell you what APTT is. I want to give you some feedback on the results that we have seen so far. I could not be here today if it wasn't for the people behind me who are implementing this strategy. So they're going to share their experience. Then I would like to tell you what our future looks like for the next year, and then we'll go from there if you have questions. So as many of you know, the Home Visit Project is not new to Sacramento. We started in 1998 at 8 schools, 2 middle and 6 elementary. Currently, our project is in 34 schools in Sacramento. We're in 7 high schools, 5 middle schools, and 22 elementaries. The Home Visit Project is also national. Like I said, it was started here in Sacramento. We are the leaders. And to this day, we remain the leaders. But we're now in 16 states in this nation and in Washington, D.C. And there's no way that this project would be where we are at today if it wasn't for the ladies way in the back, Carrie Rose and Yesenia Gonzalez, who have been here from the beginning, and many of our teachers who also kept this project going. Just a little plug. Because we have moved so quickly and expanded, hopefully you all have DVRs. Our project is going to be on the Today Show, October 8th. So next Tuesday. So set your DVRs to watch about our Minnesota partners and how our project has expanded. So in Sacramento, last year, we did over 3,300 home visits. Over 400 educators participated. And when I say educator, I'm talking about teachers and classified staff. Anyone who is connected at the school site who has been trained can do a visit. We also had 10 schools that had over 80% of their teachers and classified staff conducting home visits. So we're doing great. We're engaging our families. Our teachers are going into their homes. They're building trusting relationships. So why should I add anything more to our teachers who are already working really hard? This slide is the reason. 2 years ago, I attended a conference that was put on by West Ed. They shared this graphic, and this graphic spoke volumes to me. A couple of things moved me. One, if you look at the percentage of the orange pie piece and the yellowish greenish pie piece, that's 90%. This graphic is based on a student's typical year. If you look at that, they're only with us 10% of the time. And when I say with us, I mean in the classroom at our school sites. So the first thing that told me is, wow, we need to make every moment when we're teaching count. Everything we do matters. They're only with us a very short time. And I can say that, I say as we, because I was a teacher for 11 years before I moved into this role. Many of those years were in this school district. The other thing that spoke volumes to me was the fact that they're away from us 90% of the time, 57%, they're awake. This is afternoons, evenings, weekends, holidays, etc. If we are truly going to follow Pillar 1, which is to make our students college and career ready, we have to partner with their parents. There's no way about it. We have to do this. We have to be on the same page. So, after seeing that slide, I went to several of our active home visit sites and said, what can I do to help? How can I help you engage our families? They said, we're ready for the next step. We've been doing home visits. We want something new. We want something else to add on to that, in addition to that. So that brings me to our next slide, academic parent-teacher teams. I was given permission last year to pilot academic parent-teacher teams at 5 sites: Earl Warren, John Cabrillo, Leah Tata Floyd, Oak Ridge, and Wilsey Wood. I was able to take a group of administrators and teachers to Denver, and they were trained by Maria Paredes, who is the curator of this strategy. She trained us at our home visit, our national conference, and then throughout the year came back twice to make sure that any support that we needed was there. The Home Visit Project has an MOU with Maria saying that I am allowed to train any teacher, any classified staff in Sac City. We can use her materials. So what is APTT? Another acronym, right? Just what we need. So, long story short, APTT is a systematic way to communicate and work with our families. It repurposes parent-teacher conferences. As many of you probably experienced growing up, your parents or whoever you lived with, your parent went to the classroom and the teacher narrated, this is what's on the report card, here you go. This changes that. During an APTT meeting, there's 3 of them throughout the year. We invite families, hopefully after a home visit, to come into the classroom as a group, in a group setting, And we talk about academic progress. We talk about where their child currently is at and how we can get them to the next level. At the elementary site, and this happens 3 times throughout the year, at the elementary site, they also do an individualized meeting, which is a 30-minute meeting. Right now it's going to take place in November during our normal conference time, but it looks a little different. We're not narrating the report card. We're talking about foundational skills, Common Core standards that they need to understand and meet and how we can help them along that process. So during the meeting, this is what it looks like. Parents come onto the campus. They do a welcome and an icebreaker, which is really important because it creates a sense of community, which is really needed right now in a lot of our schools. Then the teachers talk about grade level key learning skills that kids need to master in order to go to the next grade. They review student performance data, where their child's at. And then, this is the most, I think, crucial part, is then the teachers demonstrate activities, games, that the families can play back at home that will help them in the learning process to get to where the students need to be. So they model that, which every good teacher should do. Then the parents practice. They walk around the room, the teachers are engaged with the parents, helping them learn these games. Then at the end of the meeting, they set goals, academic goals. The teachers and the parents set 60-day goals for when they meet again of where they want their child to be in the next meeting. So here's some raw results that we have seen so far. In our pilot last year, 21-point average increase in our math facts from students that had families that attended both meetings. We saw a 32-point average increase in reading fluency when students had families that attended both meetings. Our pilot teachers attested that these increases were well above the gains that they had seen in years past when using the former traditional parent-teacher conference. After every meeting, I have asked every teacher to hand out a parent feedback survey, and here are some of the results from that. 97% of the parents reported a better understanding of grade-level foundational skills. 95% of the parents felt they understood better how to monitor their child's academic progress. They also felt more confident in helping their child with an academic activity. 87% of the parents preferred these meetings to the typical parent-teacher conference. And 2 times as many parents attended these meetings when a home visit was done first. So I could talk about this all night, which you don't need. I'm very passionate about it. I've seen amazing results. I've seen parents engaged and feel welcomed on the campus. But I truly believe that if you really want to hear the amazing transformations that are happening, you need to hear from the administrators and the teachers and the parents that are participating in this. So I'd like to welcome, first up, I think, the Oak Ridge team. I believe Mr. Hesher, the principal, is going to start first. And just while he's talking, notice the pictures. These are actual pictures that were taken place, or that I took a few weeks ago.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening, Superintendent Raymond, President Cuneo, members of the board. First of all, we are receiving school at Oak Ridge, and I think we've had our best start in my 3 years at the school, and you're welcome to Oak Ridge anytime you like. It's really been a phenomenal beginning, and we'd love to see you. I think as a principal, we're always asking questions like, how do we engage our families? How do we motivate our students? How do we rekindle the fire with our teachers, help them remember why they became educators, and empower them beyond their wildest dreams? And really, APTT really has done that for our school in a big way. I'm going to call it FTAT just because we renamed it to signify family teacher academic teams instead of academic parent teacher teams. Last year, we piloted at 2 grade levels, and this year we've taken it K-6. So we have 20 different classrooms participating this year. And I really honestly believe it's the single greatest thing we've done to transform our school and our community. We are really excited about the results and what we're seeing. So what have we learned? We've really learned these things. 1, learning can be fun. Many of our families' homework becomes a battle, and what we're finding is when parents reinforce the foundational skills through fun games, they're suddenly enjoying the learning process with their children at home. And so learning is fun. That's a great start. Second, we've really learned that parents play an absolute vital role in this process. Parents are the largest, I believe, untapped resource. As Lisa showed you, students only spend 10% of their wakeful hours in school. So why not take advantage of our families to really join us as co-teachers? We also have learned the collective power in a whole community of learners. Really, there's parent accountability, teacher accountability in this, parent voice, teacher voice. It's an absolute mutual collaboration between parents and teachers. We are one team when we do FTAT. Another thing we learned, our dads show up, and our dads show up really big. I have 4 kids, and I've been to a lot of conferences in my life, and usually you leave going, what can I do? What does all this mean? It's a big data dump on you. And so our dads come, they get involved, they learn about the games, they go home, they connect with their kids, and it absolutely changes the relationship of our parents, and I've really seen our dads in a really positive way. Next, schools really become a we thing. Schools, through FTAT, become a real hub in the community. What we've seen is families are suddenly really comfortable on our campus. There's greater involvement, there's greater presence, there's greater attendance. We're all in this together, which is phenomenal. Additionally, we found out that families begin to really understand what goes on at school. I think that schools can often be a sea of acronyms. They can appear to have unrelated priorities, to be loosely connected visions. And with FTAT, we have foundation skills that are very clear. We goal set together with our families. Again, very clear. We're all working together, and it's the power of us. Also, we've learned families see how much schools care, and our schools see how much families care. For our families, they see our teams working hard. They see our teacher teams preparing materials, standing 3 and 4 teachers at a time in front of all parents, talking about how much they love our kids, how much we want to work together toward common goals. They see how much we support their students. For our teachers, they see parents often want to do their best but don't know how. And so it really reignites the fire in how do we support our families and our parents in supporting their kids. And then the other thing we've noticed is really this strengthens home visits. If home visits are seen as the bridge, really FTAT is what allows traffic to move speedily across that bridge, because suddenly now between home visits, we're talking about academic ways that parents can really support their kids, and it ties the relationships tightly, and those relationships are strengthened. I just want to share real quick with you some survey results. At 4th grade, these were comments that parents said. When they asked what do they like most about the meetings, these were a couple of comments. Unity of staff members. Another parent said, understand the way things work at school. Another one said, I enjoy being an active participant in clarification in math. I like that I know where my child is in an academic level. Another said, I can better understand test scores. Another said, how helpful the teachers are, being able to interact with other parents. I love this one. We love the teaching style, learn more to how to help my daughter at home. Another parent said, it was in our language, and that's just a beautiful thought with the translation, our language. We also had a parent say, we teach them to love learning in our home now. And finally, I had another parent say, there's nothing I would change. I'm actually impressed. That is support. So just in conclusion, FTAT is really all about transformation. I think we change how students learn. I think we change how we look at learning. We certainly change relationships. We change relationships between teachers and parents. We change relationships between the students and parents. We even change the relationship between the parent and the school. And at some point, we change how the community sees the school. And I believe that the school's very role within the community. And so again, I think this is how change happens and how authentic transformation in our communities really occurs. And so thank you for listening. And I would like to, at this time, invite a couple of our parents to speak about FTAT. First is going to be April Wybar.
My name's April, and I have 2 children that attend Oak Ridge. I have a kindergartner and a 2nd grader. And I'm basically here to express how I feel about FTAT, and I'm actually really impressed with the improvements that have been made since this program has started this year. But most importantly, how it's made me feel very comfortable in the school, from when I drop them off in the morning to when I pick them up or when I have any concerns. This FTAT meeting that we had in the beginning of the school year really helped me to get a better feel for the classroom setting, a better feel for the instruction that they're going to be giving, and most importantly, it gave me a lot of advice and kind of like tips how I can make homework fun for my kids, because I have a very low tolerance, very low patience, and I was learning that homework was something that was really hard, and it was frustrating for me, and I didn't even want to do homework with my kids. But because of the way they set this up, they made them games. It's more of a choice for the children rather than you have to do your homework because this is something you have to do every night until you graduate, basically, right? Because that's what kids think. But really it became fun. They look forward to playing these games. I got to see the levels of where my children are at exactly and what I need to work on them with more at home because of the way they set up the test scores and how they showed it to us. I'm more understanding as to what I need to do as a parent to work with them to be able to bring my children to the level that they're supposed to be at the end of the year. Now I'm more involved with reading, with counting, with my second grader. And like I said, it's just been really, really an enjoyable experience. This is something that I really look forward to continuing as my children continue to go to Oak Ridge. But overall, it's just been a really, really good experience with the FTAT. Thank you. I'm going to let Sarah Santana speak now.
Hello, my name is Sarah Santana. I'm a parent of 4 children. I like the activities we are having in our school and every week at home because they're helping to improve not only my children, but for us as parents. I like the activities especially because it's the best excuse to spend more time with the family together. I like the interaction with the teachers and all staff at school.
Ya, yo wrote it. Léalo, no lo mires. Léalo. Toma esto.
It's your teacher. Come on.
Léalo. It's okay. Nathaniel,
Okay.
do you like doing the activities?
Okay, he wrote this. My name is Nathaniel. I like the FTAT activities because they are fun and make me learn. I practice after I do my math homework. I practice with my mom, Sarah, and my big sister, Amy.
Good job. My name is Stephanie Smith, and I am a teacher at Oak Ridge, and Nathaniel is my 4th grade student who gets shy, but he does a great job. In my 10th year of teaching and my 6th year doing home visits with our district, I can confidently tell you that any success I've seen in my classroom is directly related to the connections made with families at home. While at Oak Ridge these past 4 years, we have worked hard to build that connection and develop a positive relationship with families like the Santanas. I could spend hours expressing the power of these relationships, but yet still, I was having a feeling that I wasn't communicating these academic realities to my families in the best manner with the traditional parent-teacher conference. This is where family teacher academic teams came in at a perfect time. I decided to join the FTAT, or APTT, pilot journey last year because I knew I wanted to build off the relationships with families and welcome them back to their rightful place as academic partners in their children's education. The academic realities of children are not only discussed, but as you saw from the data, they are improved through FTAT. In this first full year of FTAT, so many changes are already in action. I've changed as I view my families in a different light, the more that I see their struggles in academics, as well as their strengths in motivating their children. I've seen so many of the parents change as well, as they join forces with other families on our grade level to collaborate ways to bring consistency to the at-home activities. But most importantly, I've seen remarkable changes in my students since starting FTAT last winter. They enjoy the activities so much more than the pages of homework we typically send home that don't get done. They look forward to that quality time with their family members every single night. And this internal motivation has led to great gains in the concrete foundational skills as well. It's become clear to me that FTAT addresses both sides of the educational coin, the relationships and the heart of learning, as well as the academic realities and specific ways to improve that learning. Thank you for your time, and I'd like to now welcome John Castro, a teacher at Earl Warren, who is also a pilot of APTT.
Good evening, Superintendent Raymond and distinguished school board members. So my name is John Castro. I teach 5th grade at Earl Warren Elementary School, and I just want to share a little bit about the experience we had with APTT at our site. So we had a great turnout for both intermediate and primary. We decided to split it into 2 nights. It's the first time our school ever tried to have 2 back-to-school nights. And, you know, a little hesitation at first from some of the staff, but we decided to jump in and go for it. We had 100% of our teachers participate from grades 1 through 6. And we ended up with over 275 parents show up to the meetings, which for us was wonderful. We actually had more parents show up at the second meeting because we believe word of mouth started spreading after the first meeting. Parents started talking, and the second meeting, the classrooms were just bursting at their seams. We have pictures of these classrooms filled with parents doing these activities. We saw significant growth in attendance, like I said, in the meetings. I decided to pilot this last year and decided to continue with it because of the great experience we had last year at our site. It reminds me a lot of my first home visit I did years ago. My master teacher, Nancy Fong, decided to encourage me to go on a home visit. I was a new teacher. I was pretty nervous about it. And I remember thinking after that home visit, I should have done this a long time ago. And it's the same feeling I had with the APTT. After our meetings, I went around, talked to the staff, and many teachers actually approached me and admitted that they were quite skeptical at first. But after the APTT process had completed itself, they had full buy-in and they couldn't wait for the next one. So they also had many great things to say about the training offered by the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project. Everyone who piloted it last year developed a number of tools that we came up with, and we decided to create some online resources where new teachers wanting to do this could access all these tools so they wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. And that was a really, the teachers were very thankful for that because obviously we're very busy and have lots of things on our plate. So they took those tools, went out to their sites, prepared for their first meetings, and it was a fantastic experience. So I really hope to see you guys out at our next APTT meeting, or hopefully you can make it out to APTT meeting or FTAT meeting or whatever acronym that they call it. But it'd be great to see you guys out there. All right, thank you.
Okay, so before I move on, I just want to let you know one of the many hats that I wear is I try to make it to every APTT meeting, not only to support our teachers, because this is a lot of work. They put in a lot of work for these meetings, but to coach them, support them, to debrief with the administrators and teachers afterwards. After the meeting, when the meetings are ending, besides the survey, I try to get exit interviews from many of the parents as they're leaving. And I want to share with you a quote from one of the parents that was leaving the Earl Warren meeting. She said to me, "We went to a different school last year, and we were closed. I was afraid to send my child somewhere else. But after tonight, I know my child is safe, and that the teachers here not only care about my child, but they want to include me in the learning too. I love that." And I love that too. That's why we do this. So, what does this year look like? As you can see on the slide, these are the elementary schools that are participating. Some are going full scale, and every teacher is doing it. It is voluntary, just so you know, just like home visits. And some sites are piloting on a smaller scale. We also have it taking place at our secondary level as well. 2 of our middle schools are doing it, and McClatchy. And I want to just briefly, really quick, talk about McClatchy. What McClatchy has decided to do this year is they are taking their Men's Leadership Academy, and they're taking their algebra classes. And they're comparing what students do they have in both. Then Malcolm Floyd and the algebra teacher, and I'm blanking on her name, Carla, I'm sorry, are going to conduct these meetings. They're going to target those families, invite them onto the campus, and teach them different math skill strategies, study habits, organizational skills. So this is brand new. I don't know if you know this, but we are one of 2 districts in the nation that is piloting home visits and academic parent-teacher teams. So I'll share with you the results, hopefully, next year. Okay, so as you might have noticed on the slide, Edward Kimball is one of the schools that's piloting it brand new this year. And so, again, you don't need to hear from me. I want you to hear from the people that are doing it. So I'm going to invite up really quick Nancy Lopez, who is a kindergarten teacher, and Maggie White, who is one of her parents.
Good evening, Superintendent Raymond, school board members. My name is Nancy Lopez, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Edward Kimball. I teach in the dual language program, and I'm the Spanish model teacher. I've been doing home visits for 5 years, and 3 years ago I began to do the transitional home visits that I do over the summer for kindergartners that are coming into kindergarten. Last year I attended the home visit conference that was hosted here at the district. Lisa recommended that I attend the APTT meeting breakout session. After seeing what these meetings were about, I was very excited because I was already doing these types of meetings, but they just were not as structured as the APTT meetings were. So in August, I attended the training, and before the school year started, I met with Lisa and my principal, Dr. Jett, to begin planning and to schedule a date for the first meeting. We scheduled it for September 23rd. My partner teacher, Mrs. Arellano, and I worked very, very hard to plan this meeting. We made sure that we had everything we needed, and we contacted parents personally. We invited them. We held 2 meetings. One was right after school, and one was at 5:30. Out of the 54 families that we invited, 50 families came to our meeting. Parents were engaged, they asked questions, and they all left with tools that they needed so that their child could be successful this year. The meeting was held about 2 weeks ago, and parents are still talking about it. They come to me, they write little notes, they talk to each other, they talk to other parents at our school about these meetings. I feel that the APTT meetings are important because parents have a clear understanding of what the essential standards are. They're able to establish their child's own goals. As a teacher, I feel that this is important because I want to empower parents and help them also be their child's teacher. Also, the sense of community between parents during the meeting was very powerful. I felt that partnering with parents, especially in kindergarten, establishes a positive first year of school. The feedback and suggestions from parents through the parent questionnaire forms were all very positive. The comment we kept on seeing over and over was how happy they were happy to see where their child was at, and that they knew how to get their child to the class goal, and that they were able to take tools home to work with their child. Today I've invited a parent from my class, Maggie White, to speak to you about her personal experience during this meeting.
Hello, my name is Maggie White. I have I'm a mom of soon to be 4. My kindergartner is starting his educational career at Edward Kimball in the dual immersion program with Maestra Lopez and Mrs. Arellano. Initially, when we spoke briefly last year, she'd mentioned she was going to be doing some home visits, and I was super excited about that, and so was my son. We got the phone call, and we set the date, and he was ready the night before, excited. He wanted to share pan con leche with her and have that for breakfast when she came in because we knew the time. So that was really exciting. He got to meet her. It sort of established emotional safety because he knew her. So coming into school the first day, I'm sending her the best I have. So whether it was her or somebody else, I was really excited that I knew who she was. I knew what her favorite color was. He knew what her favorite color was. So I felt really comfortable dropping him off that first day. When I spoke to other parents or my cousins or friends and I mentioned that his teacher did a home visit, they were so shocked. They were saying, is he going to a school in Elk Grove? Or no, I'm like, no, it's Sac City Unified, and it's on 29th Street. It's not, a charter. It's a great school, and it's right here. And so that was really exciting. I almost found myself bragging often about my home visit. It was on my Facebook status, and I got like 30 comments on it. So the home visit was, it was really pleasurable experience overall. And the APTT meeting that we had with the rest of the families, initially, like she said, the icebreaker established that common ground between all of us parents. It was awesome to see so many moms and dads and couples there. Then we also, Common Core Standards is coming in, so it made it something tangible for us as parents. She was able to go over some of those foundational skills and where she wanted the students to be by December, and it put the accountability on us because then we had to write down and sign off on, my son will learn 30 letters or 30 numbers, recognize 30 numbers. For my son who's in dual immersion, it's twice as much work. It was just an awesome experience. It was awesome, sharing conversations with other parents. I'm excited about the ones that are coming up. We practice those activities that we had daily. It's a challenge for him. He's excited. He looks forward to them. Dad is also very involved with that. And, I felt I was just really fortunate because she's doing it. It's awesome to hear that there's so many schools that are involved with it as well. So thank you.
I know we buzzed, but this is the last slide. I just want to fill you in on what's next. So as a part of this strategy, like I said, there's 3 afternoon meetings that are group meetings. But what comes next is the individual conference that takes place in November, then followed in the winter and spring with their 2nd and 3rd APTT meeting. I have in my hands, which hopefully I can pass out to you, is highlighted here the rest of the schools that have not done their academic parent-teacher team meetings. It has the date and the time. There's still schools that are conducting their first one, and I encourage you, and I welcome you, and I want you to go. I will continue coaching and debriefing with all of the schools. I have found that I need to do some more professional development in the way of technology. Our meetings, the meetings that take place, are required to do a PowerPoint and a graph. And so many of our teachers, I found are not comfortable with that process, so I'm helping guide them through that in a more meaningful way. And then finally, Dr. Roberts, I know you're walking away, but I just wanted to tell you something really quick. I'm not calling you out, but I wanted to say, I don't mean to embarrass you. And Dr. Taylor, hopefully you're here. Okay, good. I just wanted to let you know, over the summer, it was very important to us that with this initiative of Common Core coming on, and all of our teachers being trained on it, it's very foreign to our parents. And so it was important to me over the summer to start aligning all the activities that we present to our parents, that they're aligned to the Common Core standards. So I've started this process, but you two, you're the expert. And so I really look forward, hopefully you will be open to meeting with me sometime in the future so that I make sure that I'm going in the right direction. Okay. All right, well, that's it. If you have questions, I guess we'll take them now.
Thank you. I think we have public comment first.
We have one public comment from Jessica Arriaga.
Good evening, board members and President Cunha. I just wanted to let you know I was fortunate enough to attend one of these meetings, and I found it very enlightening as a parent. And so I did want to say that through the transition, we are going through a lot of different challenges, and this is one positive experience that I want to let you know that's going on in the schools. But I did want to let you know that me as a parent, I have two children. One is going through in second grade and the other is in sixth grade. So I unfortunately had to decide which one I needed to go to because I couldn't go to both. I knew I was going to get the information one way or another, but I wonder about how we may be surveying parents that may have been having to make the same difficult decisions and how they can also obtain the same information, as it was very useful information. So I think we may want to find out how many other parents may have had those difficult choices. That might have been why you had an increase in attendance for the second meeting as opposed to the first meeting. So I just wanted to let you make sure that you're aware of that. As well as I also noticed that in the meeting, we have three teachers teaching the same grade level, and there was, of course, different disparities in where the children were at. Some were really underachievers, some were baseline, and some were really high achievers. And the teachers were explaining to us that it becomes difficult to teach all different skill sets at the same time. So I thought, and I had mentioned the possibility of grouping the students, having all the underachievers with one teacher, and possibly, doing more of a personalized education at that point, so that the underachievers are all in one classroom and they can get the additional aides to come in and assist. And I didn't get quite clear response as to why that may not be a good resolution to making sure that the higher achieving students are still being challenged. So I think it's an opportunity to take advantage of the higher student base and then increase enrollment for that school and divide up the children when the need arises and if it's permitted. So I just wanted to make you aware that that might be something that you may want to make sure that the principals are truly considering. Thank you for your time.
We have Member Pritchett.
Thank you, President Cunha. First off, thank you so much for that presentation. It's so enlightening to hear the whole perspective and the parents, the principal, the staff, the teachers. It's very eye-opening. I did have a question about if we know that there's a school that receives Title I funds and they don't have this in their school, how do we get that to them? How can we as board members encourage our schools to be part of this?
Well, right now, it's only at home visit schools. So we have found that to be the best connection, the two strategies together. So any home visit school is welcome to do this. All they have to do is let me know. I will come out and train their staff. Right now, funding allocations have already been allocated. But if they have an interest, I'm willing to meet with them and figure it out.
We still have schools, though, that are not home visit schools, right?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. But it is voluntary, so.
How can we as board members encourage these schools? How can we go into the school and encourage them?
Attend PTA meetings, have other parents, bring other parents who have had a home visit and talk about it. In our trainings, far and away, the evaluations always say that the teachers in the room are convinced to do home visits when they hear the parents speak.
Great, thank you. There was a comment that was made that I wrote down in bold letters on my paper. It was like, parents are an untapped resource. That is resonating with me. I'm a parent in the district, and I volunteered for many years within my kids' school, and still do. But I thank you for making that comment. That is so true. Lastly, I wanted to say thank you again for everything that you guys do. I really, truly think that what you guys are doing in the district is really making a difference. And I think I shared a story I sit on their board, but I think I shared a story at one of their board meetings of a parent in my district that had a high school student. He's a senior this year. Last year, constantly, the family would constantly come to me and complain about a teacher that they were having problems with. And I encourage, with them, work with the teacher, and over the summer break, this teacher, another teacher called the family and asked for a parent-teacher home visit project, or for a parent-teacher home visit. And lo and behold, this other teacher that they had complained about showed up with that teacher at their house. And they said that, they had a long talk with this teacher and laid it all out on the table. And this student was failing last year. And now this year, because of that very meeting, this one teacher that they weren't getting along with is now helping him and tutoring him after school, and now he's on a path for graduation. So very, very powerful, very powerful. Now what I hear from that family is, oh, I wish I would have seen that side of the teacher a long time ago. So your guys' work is very important. So thank you.
Thank you. We have Member Rodriguez.
Ms. Lavasser. Yes. Thank you for coming before us today. I heart the Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project. What I first have to say is more of a comment, not to you, because I understand you're not responsible for this. In the executive summary, there is a couple of things that I want to clarify. The Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project, as I indicated earlier, was not developed by parents and staff. In fact, it was developed by ACT area congregations together, SCTA, and parents and staff of the district. So I do want to make that clarification. I am very sensitive toward this because I too sat on the board, and I understand that I sat on the board when it was very critical when we were going through, branding this particular project. The other thing is that the acronym that was used in this executive summary, PTHV, is not reflective of the actual program name. So it is to be corrected, Parent-Teacher Home Visit Project. We dropped the P for some reason in that acronym. So if that can be corrected on the website. So now the questions for you, Ms. Lavasser. On your slide 6, at the very last bullet you have there, it says the 60-day SMART academic goals. Is that SMART just purposely capped, or is there a definition for specific, measurable, or?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to define that?
Yes, actually, technically there should be little dots after each letter there. It's another acronym. But it's basically a specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable goal. Something, so for example, if your child's reading 5 words per minute, you don't want to set the goal that they're going to read 100 words per minute in 60 days.
Exactly. And the T stands for timely. Mm-hmm. So then on the next slide, over on slide 7, it was alluded to earlier in somebody's presentation that there was X amount of parents that had come. But when I'm looking at the statistics that you list here, what's missing is the total number of participants in this, so I can kind of wrap my head around what was N in this case, so that way I can see like what 97% of what, or 95% of what, or 21-point average of what. So how many were participating in this?
I don't have that information in front of me, but I do have it. I have it all. So I can easily email you all of that. It's in a nice little document that I can send you.
That would be appreciated. And that concludes my questions.
I should let you know, though, that last year, not one school was full scale. Every school just had either 2 to 4 teachers piloting it. So it's a very minute population.
Yeah. And then I understand we're doing more schools, so yes. the greater the assessment will be, or the more reliable the assessment will be.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also started in January versus the beginning of the year, of December.
Great, great. I look forward to getting the updated numbers. Thank you.
Making a note.
So thank you very much for all the hard work you guys do. I too have personally experienced the home visit project. I haven't been on it in maybe a couple of years now.
We can set you up for one.
That'd be great. I went out with, and I forget the name of the teacher, but it was out of Tahoe Elementary.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a great experience. So I just want to thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you for all the hard work, and I appreciate all the work you do on behalf of kids, and thank you for the parents' perspective. Always good to hear and see parents and listen to their stories and how they view the work that we do here. So thank you.
Thank you.
We have item 12.0. It is a public hearing, so I will gavel it in. 12.1, a conference and action item. It is to approve the California Common Core State Standards Implementation Funds Expenditure Plan. It is a 15-minute presentation followed by a 20-minute discussion. It will be given by Dr. Alvin Roberts, Dr. Iris Taylor, and Ken Forrest.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Cuneo, Superintendent Raymond, and board members. Tonight, I am joined by Dr. Iris Taylor, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, and Mr. Ken Forrest, Chief Business Officer. To support the implementation of the Common Core State Standards, the state of California has appropriated each school district an allocation of one-time funds to be expended by June 30th, 2015. The significant contribution is targeted to support each district's charge of preparing students for college and career by continuing to move forward with the implementation of the Common Core State Standards. We are pleased to bring to your and the public's attention the recommended expenditure plan delineating usage of the state funds allocated to this school district and its dependent charter schools. I want to just share with you that we have reserved the second board meeting in December to engage you, the board, in a very comprehensive and interactive workshop on the Common Core State Standards. So tonight, we will address 4 foci that pertain to this expenditure plan. They are the allocations and areas of focus, stakeholder engagement, the expenditure plan itself, and lastly, next steps. So, in regard to the allocations and the areas of focus, this plan represents a sum total of $8,810,400 for Sacramento City Unified School District and 3 charters, New Tech High School, the Met, and Bowling Green Elementary, to be used to support the implementation of the Common Core State Standards. Please note that each dependent charter had the opportunity to submit its own expenditure plan. George Washington Carver has elected to develop its own and will be bringing it to your attention on October 17th. These funds are earmarked to support 3 key areas: professional learning for those who are involved in the direct instruction of students, instructional materials aligned to the Common Core State Standards, and technology for the purpose of supporting the implementation of these standards. As was shared at the last board meeting, the district has reserved bond funds to strengthen its technology infrastructure and to provide hardware to all schools. As a result, these allocated funds will support the remaining 2 areas: professional learning and instructional materials. The development of this plan was a collaborative endeavor To determine how to best expend the funds, the district engaged with a broad-based coalition of its stakeholders, including UPE, SCTA, SEIU, and many of our parent advisory groups. As reflected on the screen, each group was afforded the opportunity to provide input and feedback. At this time, we would just like to pause and thank each of them for their dedication, their commitment, the time expended, and their thoughtful engagement in the process. Their recommendations shaped the development of this plan, which took place at the culminating all-stakeholder collaborative convening on September 18th.
So good evening, Board President Cuneo, Superintendent Raymond, and members of the board. In the next few slides, I will share with you specifics of the expenditure plan. The Common Core state standards require a major shift in our instructional practices. And for this reason, the first area of focus for the expenditure plan is in the area of professional learning. The professional learning will be for both our teachers and our instructional aides, who are both the frontline workers working with our students on a daily basis. The professional learning will consist of a multi-tiered approach. So first is professional learning for teams of teacher leaders in mathematics and in English language arts. These teachers will attend centralized professional learning and then will return to their school sites to support and facilitate the learning of their colleagues. Please note that although not listed, the grade K-8 mathematics professional learning is being funded through a generous grant provided by one of our philanthropic partners. In addition to teacher teams, instructional aides will also attend centralized professional learning. And finally, both teachers and instructional aides will have the opportunity to engage in 6 hours of on-site collaborative learning time. For teachers, this may be a release day of 6 hours of after-school time. And then for instructional aides, this will consist of 6 hours of after-school time. To support teachers and instructional aides in determining the best use of the 6 hours, we developed an online Common Core needs assessment in English language arts and mathematics. So projected on this first page is the needs assessment, and although this is very small print, I encourage you to look at the document that's actually in the board packet and call your attention to this first page of the needs assessment. The needs assessment asks teachers to respond by indicating their progress in implementing various aspects of the Common Core state standards. Teachers and instructional aides will work with their principals to analyze the needs assessment data, identify patterns, prioritize an area of focus, and then select groupings for collaborative learning. These data will be used to develop an action plan outlining specific goals, strategies, and outcomes for the 6 hours of Common Core collaborative learning time. Additional documentation will include sign-in sheets, agendas, notes, work products, and all plans will be approved and monitored by principals. The second major focal area of the expenditure plan is for instructional materials. The district's current ELA, or English language arts, and mathematics instructional materials are not aligned to the Common Core state standards because they were adopted prior to the state adopting the standards. The state is approving mathematics instructional materials for adoption in March of 2014. Therefore, the district will convene a mathematics instructional materials adoption committee to review materials and make recommendations to the superintendent. We will undergo a thorough and rigorous review process using the publisher's criteria, which has been recommended and endorsed by the authors of the Common Core for use in evaluating instructional materials for alignment. If the mathematics materials are not adequate for supporting strong implementation of the Common Core state standards, we will forego a textbook adoption and provide supplemental materials to augment existing resources. To determine the use of any funds that may remain as a result, we will re-engage the various stakeholder groups originally consulted in developing the plan. The state, however, is not adopting materials for English language arts until 2016. Therefore, we will also undergo an equally rigorous review process using the publisher's criteria previously mentioned to review supplemental materials for English language arts. Finally, the adoption of Assembly Bill, or AB 484, will halt the implementation of the CSTs for ELA, for English language arts and math, but will provide us with a unique opportunity for the district to participate in early administration of the assessments being created by the Smarter Balance Assessment Consortium. As a result, in April or May of 2014, students in grades 3 through 8 and 11 will participate in the field test of both the English language arts and mathematics online assessments.
So, to measure the effectiveness of this plan, the district will use multiple measures to address the two areas just outlined. The quality of the professional learning will be determined using indicators such as evaluations of the professional learning, and these evaluations are done at each professional learning session. Ongoing feedback and reflections from teachers and instructional aides throughout the year. Observations of instruction in the classroom, where we are focusing on how the students are engaging in the learning. And lastly, the examination of student work. The fidelity of implementation of the instructional materials will be determined using the following indicators: the comprehensive and robust publisher's criteria, which was just shared, that will be used to evaluate the alignment of the instructional materials. Again, ongoing feedback and reflections from various stakeholder groups, including administrators, teachers, instructional aides, parents, and students where appropriate. Satisfaction and usage surveys will also be used to assess ease and fidelity of implementation. And in regard to the Smarter Balance assessments, we will use data where necessary, where we can find them or obtain them, to address the district's technology readiness as well as its curricular and instructional programs. All results will be used to inform programmatic and systematic changes as the district moves forward with its implementation of the Common Core state standards. Contingent upon your approval tonight, the district is poised to move forward by taking the following actions, the following next steps. 1, providing professional learning for teachers and instructional aides that will deepen their ability to provide rigorous instruction of the ELA and mathematics Common Core state standards. Next, the implementation of the needs assessment and the action planning tool. In March, once the state has completed its adoption process, the district will convene grade level teams, grades K through 9, to engage in its adoption process of instructional materials for mathematics and supplemental materials for ELA, English Language Arts. If necessary, we will seek board approval of the recommended instructional materials for mathematics. In the spring, using the Smarter Balance assessment, we will gather anecdotal and, if available, quantitative data, and we will use the data to revise and amend the district readiness efforts as well as its instructional programs. This is the conclusion of our presentation. We welcome your questions prior to the public hearing.
Thank you. You have comments? Yes, we do. Thank you.
We have one comment from Alice Mercer.
Today we
I'm sorry, Alice Mercer, Bancroft Elementary. Today we had our staff meeting, and we had our math and our ELA, ELD curriculum coaches come out and introduce themselves and talk about the plan for the year. And the principal wanted to keep things moving along smoothly to get people out in time, but we went over, and that's not like a really regular thing. And we went over because the staff had a lot of questions. And I just want to bring up some of the issues. I'm listing this as a neutral position over on this particular thing, but you need to be aware of some of the concerns the staff has. The first one is, what do we teach with over at this point? Because we don't have an adoption, but we do have new standards. At this point, we're being told unit plans and lesson plans will be developed, and we're going to be doing some implementation of those over the spring. It's critical that we have all the materials we need for those. Or the staff is going to be up in arms. The other issue is that we're being told to go over and develop some of our own unit plans. I've worked with Iris. She knows I love developing unit plans. I'm all about doing that, but I also realize not all of my colleagues want to be curriculum developers or can be curriculum developers. That's not their strength. Some of them, they have different strengths, and that's not something they want to get involved in. A big concern is about the quality of the units and making sure that we aren't all reinventing the wheel, because we've had consistency with Open Court, for good or ill, and with Saxon Math and with the new math plan. But they are concerned that if we're all doing our own unit plans, that there is not going to be consistency of quality going on, and they really were concerned and spent a lot of time talking about that. I'm a little bit more aware of the issue, so I know some of the curriculum that's like boxed up and ready for us to implement and Common Core ready is not of good quality. So I applaud your efforts to go over and make sure we're getting quality materials, and I apologize for going over.
No more comments. Okay. So do we have any board member who wishes to speak? We have Member Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, my allergies are coming back, so you'll hear my voice going out. Yeah, we just went to this training on the Common Core standards. And so we've got this nice little handout, and I'm not sure if Board Member Pritchett, it reached to you all, but I would encourage you to pick this up, because I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at this pitfalls to avoid. That's on page 3 if any board member wants to follow along. And it sounds like just exactly what Ms. Mercer came up to speak about these concerns. It sounds like we're kind of falling in these pitfalls now. So the first one is explaining the content and instructional shifts demanded of Common Core without also offering teachers opportunities to acquire new content knowledge and practice new instructional techniques. The second bullet is assuming that teachers can make the shift to Common Core without having time devoted to planning instruction aligned to new standards. The third pitfall is exposing only math and English language arts to the Common Core rather than making it a school-wide policy. And the last one is counting on teachers to effectively make the shift to Common Core without meaningful collaboration and support. You know, I mean, this is, in essence, asking us to be careful to ensure that we have the buy-in, because we need that, especially from the people who are going to be doing the task. If they don't do the task, if they don't understand the task that they got, then the kids are not going to comprehend and learn. The other thing is, this is a public hearing, and our room should be filled with an $8 million decision. So this is telling us that, or it's telling me that we didn't do the outreach to get parents here to understand fully what this decision means. We don't have teachers here. We don't have classified. We don't have principals here to talk to us about, are they fully supportive of this or are they not? Are parents fully supportive of this or not? When I look at how many stakeholder group meetings we've had 2 with principals, 1 with the teachers, 1 with SEIU, who's our classified group, 1 with parents, and that was rolled up, 1 with the SCTA and
or teachers and principals, and then one all stakeholder meeting. So who's involved in these meetings? And they should be here. So I'm just a little concerned about that. It is a big decision that we have to make as a board. We have to deem these funds as being used in this manner. And without me hearing from parents, teachers, principals, all who are actually going to be doing the task, it leaves me with an unsettling feeling. That's it.
So yes, I did. I guess I can be at the other end of the spectrum on this one. I did receive the handout from the Education Trust West in regard to the aforementioned training. And it's interesting, on the last page under promising practices, Sacramento City Unified School District is actually highlighted for the exemplary work that we've done in implementing the Common Core mathematics standards. During the school year, these schools received, talking about a pilot group of schools that we chose to do. I won't go through it, but it's nice, that we're being recognized for the work that we're doing in the district in regard to Common Core. I just wanted to be sure. This is for me way outside my bandwidth. How to implement this kind of stuff. I just also wanted to make sure, though, that there was that you feel there is consensus from stakeholders that this is the best way we should be spending these monies, and that's something you feel good about and certain about going forward. That obviously there's going to be disagreements along the way, but for the most part, that you're fairly confident in the consensus in the room, and
very much so. The reason why I believe it was the principal union, had two meetings. When we met with them originally, when we began talking about instructional materials, they asked a lot of questions and asked us to go back and research regarding how much would a textbook adoption cost, what are the types of materials that are out there. So we went back, did the research, came back, convened, and subsequent meetings when we met with SCTA, we shared with them the data that we shared as a result of the principals' meetings. And so every meeting became more comprehensive than the original meeting. So when we met with the SEIU team, we were then able to share with them data from the teachers union as well as from UPE. When we met with the parent advisory group, we shared with them all of the data gathered from the previous 3 meetings, and they had several questions. We were poised to bring this to the board the last board meeting. The parent group asked us to go back and to do some homework. We did, and hence the reason why we're bringing it to you now. The last meeting on September 18th, we were able to address the questions that were raised by the principals, the teachers, as well as classified and parents, and began developing. We did not develop the plan as central office. We actually brought a blank template, and as a collective group, we engaged in the development of the plan. So the plan was constructed by the team, and we then sent the plan back out to the group for feedback once we put the legs to the tabletop, so to speak.
Okay.
So yes, I stand before you fully confident, yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. We have Member Pritchett.
Thank you, President Cunha, for mentioning the highlight on the last page regarding Sacramento City Unified.
That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I missed it the first time I looked at it, actually.
I did have a question in regards to it, probably for the superintendent. Do you happen to know which schools were chosen as the pilot groups?
We had 20, but I know staff can list them all.
I won't be able to list them for you, but we can get the data for you.
Send us an email with what schools were sent?
Yes.
Okay, that would be fantastic. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Does someone want to? I'll move the item from conference to action.
Second.
I have a second from Vice President Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are now in action. Does any board member wish to have comment or more consideration given to the item? And I will move to approve the California Common Core State Standards Implementation Funds Expenditure Plan. Second by Vice President Kennedy. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Member Rodriguez opposed. Is there a specific reason? Okay. Opposition noted. Abstentions? And it has passed. It's been approved. Thank you. Item 13.0, business and financial information reports. They have been received. Item 14.0, future board meeting dates and locations. October 17th, 2013, 4:30 p.m. closed session, 6:30 p.m. open session here at the Cerna Center. And again on November 7th, 2013, 4:30 p.m. closed session, 6:30 p.m. open session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, President Cuneo, I would like to motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a second by Vice President Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned.